Hey, this is Peyton, and I'm ready to rant. And today I'm going to be ranting about the game that just seems to keep on giving when it comes to topics I have enough interest in to make a video on them. And that game is, of course, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. So, full disclosure going into this, I'm going to try to keep everything I'm talking about here in some sort of structure, but that's going to be difficult because there has been so much new information about this game released in the past week that it is mind-boggling. And to start things off, in my very last video on this game, my potential items for Nick All-Star Brawl video, which I'll link to in the description if you didn't see that, I included at the tail end of that video some, at the time, recently released gameplay footage, which just showed some uninterrupted matches. We got a couple different videos, and it was really cool finally getting to see those. I didn't make a rant or any sort of video commentating on the gameplay, and everybody else on YouTube has already put their thoughts out about it, so to briefly summarize what I think of it, I think it looks really good. The gameplay, finally getting to see it in motion without constant cuts like we've seen in the character trailers so far, was excellent. Everything looks fast and smooth, and the gameplay breakdown video that coincided with those gameplay footage videos, it's insane. Like wave dashing, grabbing projectiles, the rock, paper, scissors type system for heavy attacks or strong attacks. This game is so deep mechanically, and again, like so many pro Smash players have broken down what this gameplay means for this game in a competitive sense, that I don't really feel the need to add much other than I'm just excited to finally get my hands on it and see how everything actually feels to be behind the wheel of. What I do want to talk about with those trailers that got released, or rather the gameplay footage that got released, is the presentation of the game, because I've really been excited to see more of how this game's going to feel. Like, not in a gameplay sense, but in terms of how is it going to look and sound and everything when you're actually in the middle of a match. And we got a lot of good looks at everything since I made some of those older videos. Like, for example, we've seen all 3 SpongeBob stages pretty in-depth now. We've seen the Flying Dutchman ship, Glove World, and Jellyfish Fields, and those stages, along with all of the others in the game, look fantastic so far. The graphics in the backgrounds of everything look so good. Like in the Glove World stage, how the passengers on the Ferris wheel change between, I'm assuming, rounds. That is such a great detail that adds so much personality to the game. And in general, the graphics are about a step up or 2 maybe from what we saw in Slap City, which, you know, again, this game you can tell it has a bit of a budget, but for what it is, I think this game looks really good. It could definitely look worse than it does. Where the game didn't impress me as much in these recent videos was in the audio department. For example, voice acting. We've known for a bit now that there was not going to be voice acting, and I was actually completely fine with that on paper. But actually getting to see this gameplay, especially in the 4-player match, there is definitely a void where character voices should be. Like, if characters could talk and grunt, it would fill a lot of the silence that stuff like the announcer commentating on the match is trying to do. Or like, you know, the sound effects. And that stuff does help, and I can't imagine it will take too many matches before you get used to the lack of voice acting, but it definitely is noticeable off the bat. And on a kind of related note, the music in these stages has not, I'd say, impressed me very much. We finally got to hear it after I brought it up in my previous Ready to Rant on Nick All-Star Brawl, and the soundtrack seems like it's being made to kind of capture the vibe and feel of each of these shows, and that's essentially it. The music isn't referencing like the theme songs or anything directly from what I can hear so far. Like on the Eastern Air Temple stage from Avatar, It's a song that it feels like it could be background music in an episode, is what I'd say, but it's not necessarily what I would have imagined being a part of the soundtrack for this game. So, yeah, the music, it's serviceable. It's not like bad or anything, but it's kind of like a generic version of what that show would normally use for music in its scenes. So, overall, the presentation for this game is about what I was expecting, with the exception of the music, which I'd say is a little disappointing. But on that note, it's hard to really focus on that normally. Like, when I'm highlighting these specific elements like this, it feels like, oh, well, that feels like it would kind of bring the whole package down. But the marketing for this game has literally been perfect for what it needs to do so far. The constant stream of new content that has been coming out regarding Nick All-Star Brawl leading up to release, which is confirmed to be October 5th, has been excellent. And for example, like, I think it might have been like a day or two after I posted my Nick All-Star Items video, we got a reveal for Ren and Stimpy on the PlayStation blog. Now, putting aside that we got a new character for this game officially announced, which stuff like that is always fun. That's easily my favorite part of platform fighters, getting to see who's going to join the game, and then when they join, getting to see how they function. It was such a cool read seeing like the deep cuts that they made to make these characters feel like they belong in this sort of fighting game. And I'll link to that blog post in the description, because that isn't even what I want to stay focused on for too long, because this character reveal for the game, as big of an announcement as it is only a tiny piece of what I'm talking about when I said earlier all the news that's been coming out for Nick All-Star Brawl. So I actually just wrote down a list of everything I wanted to talk about here, and I'm just going to go down through it and give some quick thoughts on each item, because there's too much to make individual videos for everything here. So to start off, although not all platforms will feature rollback netcode for 4-player matches, all platforms will have rollback netcode for 1v1s. This is such a good choice on the development team's part. Whoever is responsible for the netcode of this game, basically, the certain platforms, they're probably referring to the Switch. The Switch probably won't be powerful enough to run rollback netcode for those 4-player matches. But the decision to make sure that even the Switch is able to handle rollback netcode for 1v1s is excellent. From a competitive standpoint, that is all that you need the rollback for anyways. I mean, assuming this game gets a huge enough scene, there might be like, a big 2v2 side to this game, but 1v1s is where rollback netcode matters the most, and they made sure every single platform is going to have rollback netcode for one-on-one fights. That is a genius choice. That is the perfect way to handle that. It stinks that 4-player matches won't have it, but where it matters, they made sure to include it. Excellent choice on the development team's part. We also recently got confirmation that the PC version of Nick All-Star Brawl is actually going to have mod support. This is a really left field announcement to me. I know that Ludosity has said several times that Nickelodeon has been super easy and fun to work with, and that they've really let them make the game as they want it to. But it's so funny to me, even knowing that Nick was cool with this game just straight up having mod support. And of course, with that announcement, people immediately started getting excited for, a voice mod at launch for the PC version. To that I say, just keep in mind that even when these, the modders are going to have the development tools in their hands for this game, it's going to take a bit before we see anything like that. But I'm sure it'll get added at some point. Somebody will make sure it happens, because, it's so obviously, if the development team had any say in this game should have mods, one of the major reasons, I'm sure, why they wanted this game to have mod support, so that fans could add in voices. And that's just such a funny sentence to me even, that Nick All-Star Brawl is going to have mod support. Who would have thought that when this game's first trailer released? Going off of that, we have a mode confirmation, that's another thing I brought up in one of my other videos, is what modes is Nick All-Star Brawl going to have? Well, now we know that we're getting a mode that was present in Slap City in this game, and it's actually a mode that seems to be exclusive to Slap City coming over to Nick All-Star Brawl, and that mode is called Sports Ball, which Sports Ball is actually a renamed version of Slap Ball, and you can look up Slap Ball from Slap City footage on YouTube and see some gameplay of it. It's basically like basketball, but you are fighting each other while trying to get the ball in the hoop. Which that's funny. That's a very cartoony mode to include in this game, which is obviously very fitting. But more than that, it's nice to know that we have some other modes here, like I brought up in my other rant, than just the meat and potatoes fighting. Stuff like this also adds a lot of fun in terms of you can go do this for a little variety after you've had your fill of the standard combat. Very nice addition, very welcome addition. And finally, on my list here, we have two things that kind of go hand in hand because they both involve this game after it releases. And the first of these two items is that we have confirmation that Nick All-Star Brawl is going to be receiving post-release balance patches, which is instrumental to any modern fighting game. If there is any video game genre that deserves to have the benefits of balance patches applied to it, it is definitely the fighting game. Because no matter how good the development team is or how big it is, every fighting game is going to be released with inconsistencies among its cast, where some characters are just better than others and some are just like worse and lack the tools to kill, or some just have too many tools to kill. And it should go without saying, if you know anything about balance patches in fighting games, that this is essentially required to have it be competitive. Like, this is really what's going to give this game legs. It's going to help this game have a much, much longer shelf life, and it's just good. It's great to hear. It should be confirmed, but anything can happen, so it's nice that, yes, we are getting these. And along with that, almost as importantly, if not even more important for the sales and future of this game, is that we will be receiving post-launch DLC characters. This licensed Nickelodeon platform fighter, which has yet to be released, has generated enough interest in the fighting game community that Nick went ahead and said, yes, we are getting DLC characters for this game. It has been greenlit. It is happening. I literally just can't even believe where this game is at right now. And all of this stuff together is why I wanted to talk about this game's marketing, because all of this has come out in like the span of a week, not even. And we only have like 2 weeks now till the game launches, and it's crazy that they are just giving us so much information. They are giving the fans so much to chew on and to get excited about, and they are handling every single aspect of this marketing campaign perfectly. And there's stuff I didn't even talk about yet, like on Twitter, how they have these nice little move spreadsheets for characters where you get to see a picture of every single move and what attack it's tied to. And like, there's so much to talk about with this game, and it's only around the corner. Like, we don't even have to wait long before it releases, and it's just so exciting to see this game doing the rounds like it is. Like, there has not been any other platform fighter that has even come close to what Nick All-Star has already done before its release. And really, that's what I want to put a bow on this video with, is just the thought that Nick All-Star Brawl as a overall package, you know, some of its features might not be AAA quality. Sure, like graphically it looks good, but you can tell it's not AAA. It does have a budget, and like I was saying earlier, to be honest, the lack of voice acting does sting, and some of the music is a little underwhelming for what it could be when, you know, compared to a Smash Ultimate remix of some classic video game song. But even with those, I'll say shortcomings, but that's exaggerating how serious of an issue I think they'll be in the long run. But I do hope that those elements of the game don't bring it down for others, because this looks like it's going to be an excellent platform fighter, and the last thing I would want to see is some of its presentation elements, some of the surface level traits of it bringing down the overall package, because there's going to be a lot of fun to be had in Nick All-Star Brawl. I can tell already, because short of something catastrophic happening, like the gameplay being a complete lie in the trailers and the gameplay's completely different at launch, like something that level, this game is going to be such a good time, and I personally just can't wait until release day to finally get my hands on this thing. And fortunately, I won't have to wait for long because it's right around the corner. So why don't you guys just let me know what you think of Nick All-Star's marketing and the character showcase videos that we've been getting on YouTube and the Twitter move list images like I talked about before. Let me know your thoughts on all that. And until next time, this has been Payden, and I'm done ranting.